You know that feeling when someone suddenly seems to make it and the world calls them an overnight success? But you look closer and realize that what looked sudden was just the visible part of something that had been moving quietly for years? That's the hidden momentum of consistent success. It's invisible, it's slow, and it builds quietly beneath the surface until one day it looks like magic. Welcome to the long game. I'm Nathan, and I want to thank every one of you who's been listening, subscribing, and sending thoughtful comments every week. I read them all, truly, even if I can't always reply right away because, well, between work, creating these episodes, and raising my little one, time gets tight. But I feel your support, and it means a lot. Today, we're diving into something subtle yet powerful: how consistent effort creates a hidden current of momentum that keeps pushing you forward, even when progress looks invisible. See, success doesn't move in a straight line. It moves like a glacier, so slowly that from the outside, it seems like nothing's happening. But underneath, pressure is building. Layers of effort, one over another, are compacting into something unstoppable. Most people quit too soon, not because they failed, but because they didn't realize how much momentum was already working in their favor. They stop when the growth is still underground, before the roots become visible through results. If you've ever gone through months, even years, of doing the right thing but seeing no big leap, I want you to remember there's physics behind your patience. Momentum is cumulative. Each repetition, each habit, adds a small but permanent shift to your trajectory. And once it starts compounding, you don't just move, you accelerate. But here's the paradox. The moment before acceleration feels the hardest because energy is being stored, not shown. That's the invisible phase every consistent person goes through. The phase where people stop noticing your progress and you start doubting yourself. But the truth is, the invisible phase is not a pause. It's preparation. It's the universe stacking potential energy, waiting for the point where consistency becomes inertia. You see this in fitness. Someone trains for months. No big change. Then one day, everything clicks. Strength, stamina, mindset. It's not luck. It's the delayed reveal of built-up momentum. You see it in business. A startup grinds quietly, refining their product. No spotlight, no big funding. Then suddenly they explode. But that explosion is simply years of direction, pressure, and compounding motion finally surfacing. And you see it in personal growth too. When you've been learning, journaling, improving bit by bit, one day you face a crisis and realize you handle it calmly, wisely, in a way the old you never could. That's the hidden momentum revealing itself. Consistent success by nature hides from view until it's undeniable, because real progress happens in systems, not moments. In the discipline you practice when no one's watching. In the effort you repeat when results don't show. The hidden momentum of success is like a silent engine under the hood of your life. It doesn't roar, it hums. But if you keep feeding it, it will take you further than anyone who runs only when they feel like it. In the next part, we'll explore how this hidden momentum actually builds, the mechanics behind compounding progress, and how to design your days so success keeps gathering speed, even when you're standing still. This is the long game. Stay with me. Let's start here. Momentum is not about speed. It's about direction sustained over time. You can be moving fast, but going nowhere. Or you can move slowly, but never stop, and end up far beyond everyone who sprinted and burned out. Momentum is what happens when effort meets consistency. It's when your actions begin to reinforce each other, when yesterday's discipline makes today's easier and tomorrow's more powerful. That's how small wins turn into self-sustaining motion. Think of it like pushing a flywheel. At first, every push feels heavy. You don't see movement, and it's tempting to think nothing's working. But push after push, the wheel starts to turn, just a little faster each time. And one day, it spins on its own. That's how habits create hidden momentum. Every repetition strengthens a neural pathway, making the behavior more automatic. Every small improvement compounds with the last. You don't feel the acceleration day to day, but you become someone who moves differently through the world. The challenge, though, is that we're wired to notice only what's visible. We love instant feedback. We crave progress we can measure. But consistency often gives none, not at first. And that's why so few people experience its full payoff. Imagine a musician practicing scales. It sounds boring, repetitive, mechanical. But inside that monotony, their brain is building motor memory, speed, accuracy, flow. Months later, they perform effortlessly, and everyone calls them talented. No, they just stayed long enough for consistency to turn invisible work into visible mastery. The same is true for your goals. Most people want momentum without friction, but friction creates momentum. Resistance is what builds stability. When you repeat an action despite discomfort, you teach your system that this is who you are. And that's how momentum shifts from external to internal. At first, it's about motivation, pushing yourself to act. But eventually, it becomes identity. You act because it feels unnatural not to. That's the tipping point where consistency stops requiring effort. Let's talk about how to build that. First, narrow your scope. Momentum hates distraction. When your energy is scattered across 10 things, none of them gather enough mass to move. But when you channel everything into one direction, progress starts to stack exponentially. Second, make the process smaller than your emotion. If the action depends on motivation, it will fail on bad days. But if the action is tiny and automatic, like writing one paragraph, reading one page, saving $1, you'll keep going long enough to build rhythm. Third, track progress, but not performance. Performance fluctuates. Progress compounds. It's okay if you're not hitting perfect results. What matters is the continuity of motion. Momentum grows from consistency, not intensity. And fourth, protect your energy like an investor protects capital. Every distraction, every argument, every drained hour is like withdrawing interest from your future growth. Guard your time, because time is where momentum lives. You can't accelerate if you keep stopping to explain yourself to people who aren't moving. Now let's connect this to something real. Think about Warren Buffett. He's not just wealthy because he's smart. He's wealthy because he stayed consistent
for 80 years. His biggest financial gains didn't happen early. They happened after the compounding took over. That's what momentum looks like when time becomes your partner. Or think about athletes like LeBron James. People see him at the top, but what they don't see is the routine behind it, the hours of recovery, the stretching, the sleep schedule, the meals repeated day after day for decades. It's boring consistency that fuels extraordinary performance. The irony is that the stronger your momentum gets, the simpler your system becomes. You stop needing hacks, motivation, or pressure. You just do, because it's who you've become. But here's the hidden beauty. Momentum isn't just mechanical. It's emotional, too. When you start seeing even small signs of progress, you begin trusting yourself. And that self-trust, that inner confidence, amplifies your momentum like rocket fuel. Because once you believe in the direction, you stop questioning every step. You stop restarting. You just keep compounding. That's when the invisible engine starts humming under your life. You wake up, do the work, and realize that progress is now moving you. And this is why consistency is more than habit. It's a transfer of effort from conscious to automatic, from external force to internal motion. It's the difference between trying and being. The question isn't how fast you move. It's whether you're building something that keeps moving when you rest. That's what consistent success really means. Not working harder, but smarter. So your effort carries you even when you're tired. In the next part, we'll look at how to sustain that hidden momentum, how to protect it from burnout, boredom, and distraction, and how to let your long game unfold naturally without losing your direction in the noise. This is the long game. I'm Nathan. Stay with me for part 3.
There's a quiet truth about momentum that most people never learn. It doesn't die suddenly. It fades slowly, through small leaks of focus. A missed day here, a rushed choice there, a bit of energy given to something that doesn't matter. And before you know it, the wheel that once spun on its own starts to slow down, quietly, almost imperceptibly. So, in this last part, let's talk about protecting momentum. Not building it, but keeping it alive. Because once you've built hidden momentum, your next task is to defend it like a precious current of compounding power. The first rule: never let temporary emotion break permanent motion. Your mood can change by the hour, but momentum is built on rhythm, not feeling. If you only move when you feel inspired, you'll keep resetting the clock. But if you move regardless of emotion, you'll build an unbreakable streak, and that streak becomes your identity. See, discipline is just emotional independence. It's the ability to say, I don't need to feel good to do good. And once you've tasted that freedom, momentum becomes effortless because you're no longer negotiating with yourself every morning. Second, reduce friction in your environment. Momentum hates clutter, not just physical clutter, but mental and emotional clutter too. If your space, schedule, and priorities are messy, your attention leaks energy like a cracked pipe. But if you design your environment to support your goals, the right tools in sight, clear cues for the next step, and minimal decision fatigue, you preserve mental fuel for what truly compounds. It's not about working harder. It's about making the right action the easiest one to do. Third, balance rest and repetition. Consistency doesn't mean exhaustion. Momentum is not acceleration without end. It's energy in harmony. If you never rest, you'll break the engine. If you rest too long, the engine cools. The art is to rest just enough to keep your rhythm sustainable. This is why athletes have off-seasons, why investors hold cash sometimes, why creators take solitude breaks. Momentum isn't constant output. It's consistent alignment. Now, let's talk about boredom, because boredom is where most people lose their edge. When something becomes routine, your brain starts looking for novelty, for excitement, for quick wins. That's the trap. The mind confuses stimulation with progress. But true mastery comes from staying faithful through the unexciting middle. When it's no longer new and not yet rewarding, that's the most valuable stage. That's when invisible compounding does its deepest work. If you can learn to love the boredom, to treat it as a sign that you're on the right path, you'll have an advantage most people never develop. Because the longer you can endure repetition, the sharper your advantage becomes. There's a reason seasoned professionals seem calm. They've seen what happens when you outlast the excitement phase. They know that true momentum begins the moment enthusiasm ends. Now let's touch something deeper. Faith in the process. Not blind optimism, but quiet faith built from observation. When you've seen consistency work before, you stop doubting the next phase. You trust the lag between input and output. You stop trying to pull the plant to make it grow faster. Faith gives patience, and patience keeps momentum intact. Because impatience kills motion. It makes you switch paths before the compounding appears. Look at how bamboo grows. For years, there's nothing visible, just roots expanding under the soil. Then suddenly, it shoots up meters in weeks. But the growth didn't just happen. It had been building, invisibly, through preparation. That's momentum, disguised as stillness. Human progress works the same way. Your skills, confidence, and results are all bamboo-like. They take time underground before they rise into view. That's why I often say, what you do today doesn't matter just for today. It builds the infrastructure for who you'll be capable of becoming years from now. Every act of consistency writes code into your identity. Every day you choose focus over distraction, you reinforce the foundation of your future self. Even when nothing seems to move, you are becoming harder to derail. And here's something powerful. Momentum compounds not only through repetition, but through reflection. If you take time each week to look back, not to criticize, but to notice patterns, you refine your process without losing motion. That's the secret behind sustainable growth. Consistent action plus gentle awareness. Now, let's talk about people, because no one keeps momentum entirely alone. Who you surround yourself with either accelerates or dilutes your energy. If your circle normalizes distraction, you'll slow down without realizing it. But if your circle respects direction, you'll move faster without trying. Your people are part of your momentum equation. They're like gravity. They either pull you upward or downward. That's why you should protect your environment as fiercely as your goals. There's also a moment, often years in, where your momentum becomes visible to others. They'll call it luck, or talent, or timing. But you'll know it's just the compounding of invisible effort. The secret hours, the repetitions when no one cared, the choices you made when nothing was guaranteed. And when you reach that stage, don't stop. Because the same habits that built your rise are the only ones that can protect it. Momentum decays when ego replaces humility. When you think you've made it, you stop doing what made you. So stay grounded. Stay curious. Keep learning, adjusting, reflecting. Remember, success is not a destination. It's a direction with inertia. You're not chasing success. You're feeding motion. You're building something that moves even when you rest, that grows even when you're not looking. That's the essence of the long game. And to everyone listening today, thank you for being part of this journey. Every episode, every comment, every quiet moment you choose to learn, you're compounding your own hidden momentum. Even if you don't see it yet, it's there, quietly turning, building, carrying you forward. So keep going. Don't measure your progress by what's visible today. Measure it by your capacity to stay in motion tomorrow. Because one day, you'll look back and realize the success you have was simply the natural outcome of refusing to stop when it didn't yet show. This is the long game, and I'm Nathan. Thank you for listening, for thinking long-term, and for playing the game that time always rewards.